them down for hot cross buns, it's time to look at the notes and make sure you can play the notes. And this is where we're decoding the music, right? So remember, if we go back, we had this lovely thing right here, the treble clef, which tells us we're going to be using every good boy does fine and face in the space to tell us what our notes are. So we're going to take a look at this very first note right here. Now there's a handy chart down underneath here with all three notes, and you'll notice this one right here is a B. It's on the third line on the staff, and that's exactly what this note is. And so I'm going to write B. Here's the deal, guys. We're not going to write our note names in all the time, because that's basically translating the music. And I want you to learn how to do that in your head, okay? So I've had students do this, and they've written in all the notes, and I can tell you that none of them has ever passed a belt for me on the first try when they write the notes in, because they're reading note names and they're translating it that way. And it's kind of like if you were taking Spanish or another foreign language and your teacher always gave you the translation, you would never actually learn the language. So guys, we're not going to write the note names in. I'm going to erase it before we go through, okay? But I want to kind of show you how to figure these out. Now our next note, our second note here, is a space note. So we're going to use face in the space, and it's on the second. If you go down here, down at the bottom, it's on the second space up, and that's A, right? So F-A-C. So we have an A. And then our last note here, or not our last note, but our next note here in the second measure, our third note, is a G. If we look down here, it's on the second line up. 1, 2, always count from the bottom up, and that's a G. Hey, look, it spells bag. All right, but we're going to erase this because, again, no cheating. All right, you can use the stuff down here. These three things right here that I circled down here, you can use these things to help remind you of what the notes are. And then they each have a fingering next to them. Remember, G is your thumb. That's this guy over off to the side, and your first 3 fingers on your left hand. A is your thumb and your first 2 fingers. And B is your thumb and just your first finger. It's like you're pinching it with like pincher claws, right? Meanwhile, let's go ahead and look up here, because I think we're going to discover something really special about this piece. So this note right up here, we're on the third measure. That's our third line note. And if you remember, our third line note, we go down to the bottom, is a B. So I'm not writing B in, right? But take a look at that. He's on the same line. Woo! It's really hard to draw straight on an iPad. As this note right here. These are the same note. Let's see if we can find something else that's alike. Then we have our next note here is our space note. We only have one space note on this page, and that's A. So this is the same as that. And then we come over here and we've got our second line note. It's on the second line from the bottom, and that's a G. And that's the same. Check this out, guys. Whoops. These two measures right here and these two measures right here are exactly the same. I want to take you down here to this bottom right here. That's a B. That's our space note A. That's our second line note G. It is the same as all of these things I've circled in blue are the same 3 notes. So if once you learn the 3 note pattern with that rhythm, you know 3/4 of the song. That's amazing. Now we're going to take it. Now we're going to go finish figuring out the bottom line. Here we have a second line note. That's our G. And we have a whole row of them. There's 4 in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. But this one right here changes. That's our space note. We only have 1. It's A. So we switch over to A for 4 notes. And then we do our B, A, G again. I just want to remind you, when you're up at the top here at the end of the first line at this note right here, don't change, okay? A lot of people try to pick another note, but this note right here is exactly the same as this note over here at the bottom of the beginning of the bottom line. So the first line ends on the same note that the second line starts on. So guys, I'm gonna do another video where I play through it and you can watch, but I'm going to do that in a separate video. So I just wanted to show you these things you can practice by fingering, by holding up your instrument and putting down the fingers without actually playing, and that'll get your fingering practice in too, as well as just practicing the rhythm without the instrument.